Hello, everyone. This is your host, Krishan, and I'm really excited to share with you a very interesting idea that I have been developing for the past couple of years, but more seriously in the last couple of weeks. And as you can see in the title, it's transforming my school into an RPG adventure. What do I mean by this? So basically, the thing that has interested me the most in terms of education is motivating people, motivating students, be it in elementary school, in high school, in higher education, it doesn't matter, but motivating students to actually want to learn, right? Because ever since I have been a student, I have had very awful experiences with teachers that simply don't care about what they're teaching, and I have always wanted to create some type of system that makes classes as fun and as engaging as they can be. So this is my idea: transforming a school, a university course, anything in terms of education, transforming an educational experience into a game, into a story, into an RPG adventure. Why do I say RPG? For those who don't know, RPG it stands for role playing game. So the typical, I tend to think of RPG games as this kind of looking game, with pixel art, like Pokemon or Final Fantasy. In this first video, I'm going to make a brief introduction of this idea that I want to develop in the following weeks, months. I want to make this title of transforming my school into an RPG adventure. I want to make it like a series. This series of videos is basically going to be a way for me to take you along this wonderful ride with me on figuring out how to actually create such an environment, because I feel that that has been my problem for a long time. The fact that I just stand without knowing what to do, like I stand still, like I stand paralyzed, like, okay, I have this huge idea and I kind of see it in my head, but at the same time, it's so difficult to bring it to real life. So I want to make this series of videos as a kind of way of registering this idea, registering this process of creation of such a system. It's going to be an interesting experience. And also, whoever sees this, if you're interested in it, I would love to see your input. I would love to make this sort of like a joint creation with the public. You see this and you say, oh, I think maybe this could work, or I think maybe this is not working, So let's start with introduction. Let's see. I consider this idea to be based on 4 pillars. So we have the pedagogical pillar, which comprises what? Comprises like class elements, for example, the grades that students get or the assignments, all of those things that traditionally refer to a class. That's what I mean by the pedagogical pillar. Like, for example, creating a curriculum where you have the objectives, the learning objectives of the students, all of those things that teachers know how to create and base their educational experiences on. This is what I mean by pedagogical pillar. So right, this is absolutely necessary, of course. And this is what every class has or should have. So now what I want to create is something more. So we have the pedagogical pillar, we have the gamification pillar, which comprises things like game elements, like points, what is known as PBL, right? So it's points, badges, and leaderboards. That's what PBL means. Gamification is transforming something that is like an experience that it's not typically a game, like a work environment, your own life, like doing habits, all those types of things. You can turn that into a game, but it's not typically a game, right? So that's where gamification comes in. What other things we have? We have game assets, for example, which I will show later. We have game assets, we have characters, bosses, for example. We have mechanics or game dynamics, like boosters. When you're playing a game and you take a potion, and then suddenly for 2 minutes you're going to gain double the experience, or you get more time. All of those things are boosters. These type of elements, dynamics that you can find typically in games, all of those things are in the gamification pillar. Then we have the narrative pillar, which comprises things like the story. Actually, characters should not be here. They are best represented in the narrative pillar, like characters like the villain, the hero. We have like the narrative structure, like the beginning, problem, and resolution, all those sorts of things. That is the climax, for example. Plot twists, those types of things, plot twists, side stories or alternative stories, what maybe in game terms would be called like a side quest, perhaps. So the last thing is, let's call it the technological pillar. And with this, I mean the platform that you're going to use, which I'll show later. So for example, if this is a virtual class that we're talking about, like Zoom or Google Meets, but in this case, I'm going to use Gather, which is Gather.town, which is the one that you saw before. We have the tools, which in this case, I want to specifically rely or take a huge advantage of AI tools like ChatGPT, Leonardo AI, whatever. I want to use AI tools to assist in the creation of such a gamified experience. So right now, I am doing this as part of like my thesis, and I want to learn more about this because I feel that it is quite a new topic. I haven't really found that many research articles that talked about such a big and, let's say, different type of imagining classroom or a learning experience. And I want to take advantage of these amazing tools that are artificial intelligence. I think there is so much to be done with this right now. So this is what I mean with the technological pillar. So as a type of summary, I want to say this. So I want to conceptualize, I want to create a new type of learning experience system, if that makes sense, that is not just the pedagogical pillar. So I want to create something that goes beyond what everyone does. And what everyone does, or what everyone has been doing for many, many decades, is just focusing on the educational aspect of things. So what do my students need to learn? What are the learning objectives that I need to fulfill? How do I grade them? How do I assess that they are learning? All of these types of things that I don't think many educational institutions go beyond that. I want to go beyond that. Maybe we could say that the technological pillar has been included a lot lately in education, and maybe some schools, maybe some teachers like to use some small game elements to make their classes more fun, like Kahoot and all of these types of like programs and pages that make the class more fun, to put it another way. I would say education is based on, first, the pedagogical pillar. That is like what has always existed. So this exists. This is being done, and it's being constantly improved and whatnot. Then we have the technological pillar, which has been used lately more and more, and specifically after the pandemic and all of that. It has become more popular to include technology in the classroom. So this is nothing new. Then we have the gamification pillar. This is like a hierarchy. I'm going to put it in italics because I want to say that that is where it starts to kind of fade. So like maybe some people, some teachers, some schools are including it, but not so many and not so much. And then we'll reach the narrative pillar. This is where I believe that we can really come up with something completely new. So I want to combine all of these 4 pillars to create a completely new and different learning experience. And this, once again, the title, Transforming My School into an RPG Adventure. This was the introduction, and then I would say in the next couple of videos I will show what I have done in these matters. So what I have done in terms of the pedagogical pillar, the technological pillar, the gamification pillar, and the narrative pillar.